Hey, everybody. We
Hi,
are
guys.
back with another episode, and we are so excited to welcome the Auto Couple this Valentine's Day to the show. I'm Jess,
I'm Shasta.
and we are the chicks in charge. And now we will welcome Jenna Smith and Casey Smith to the show. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Doing great.
How are you?
We are great. So right now we have Jenna the car gal and Casey the car guy, and together they are the auto couple and have the auto baby. And we are so excited to talk with you guys today. How's your week going so far?
Busy.
Well, yeah, I would say so. Very busy. Just
Jenna,
coming back from NADA, I feel like there's a flood too of all the things to do, right?
so much. I mean, I think that we're all underwater coming home from NADA too. So I
Okay.
totally agree.
Did you guys watch the Super Bowl yesterday? I know that this is coming out Wednesday, but we're recording this on Monday. Did you guys watch the bowl?
Yeah.
Yes, it was not nearly as exciting as if the Lions would have been there, but
Or the Bears.
But yeah, we basically made it through to the start of the overtime, and then I fell asleep.
Then the ball game watched us.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that was a game that we all could have slept through. Like I was just like, this is a very uneventful game.
Especially that first half. I mean,
Oh my lord.
I was ready to be done at halftime. I was ready to go home.
Yep.
And crawl in bed. I was over it. But we pulled it through. The Chiefs won that Super Bowl. Back-to-back Super Bowls.
They did.
We know you girls are celebrating.
We are.
She's
doing the
the Lions lost, and I was just sad most of the season because my Bears didn't do that great. But we are a house divided when it comes to most sporting functions. So this was not by design, but we live this life.
Fair enough. So tell us how you guys became the auto couple. You guys have a very interesting story to tell.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You tell much better than I do.
So roughly about 10 years ago now, we'll be celebrating 10 years.
Mhm.
Great. A friend of ours, Bobby Heron, who's also in automotive,
Love Bobby.
knew both of us and set us up on a blind date. It took this guy 10 days to call me, which is terrible because, I mean, you know.
It's busy working car deals.
And you work in the car business.
Yep.
Come on.
We know that lead follow-up's not on point.
Yeah, kind of ironic, really.
I think he was waiting for like one of those really good days where you do like a couple of car deals.
Hey, I had a hat trick that day, actually, the day that I called her. So it was kind of like, if I could do that, I could do anything. So
You had
That's what made it lucky.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
no doubt. So we went out on our first date, and it was 3 hours long. We talked about all the things that you probably shouldn't talk about on a first date, but
all the things that Bobby told us not to talk about.
actually she
talk
did.
About.
She did. She sent us like a group text with a little meme that was like a girl dragging a little boy in a wedding dress in a groom suit, and it's like 10 things not to talk about on your first date. And I think we at least covered 7 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
We definitely talked about kids, all that stuff. We both kind of came out of situations where it was like, hey, I'm not looking to waste my time. I know you're not looking to waste yours. Let's just see where we fall in line here and roll with the punches. And 10 years later, it didn't scare me away. It didn't scare her away. So.
No, not yet.
You know, maybe
are.
more relationships should start that way, where it's a better fast transition into, okay, let's just get all this stuff out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah, so we it was interesting because we have both been in automotive for so long that all of our friends, like we had individual relationships with similar people, and it's like, oh, you know so and so, and you know so and so, you're friends with them. So we have like this auto family, especially here in Michigan, where we hang out, and you know, we all had our relationships before this was a thing.
I love that. Were your friends and family pretty receptive to you dating a gentleman in the car business, Jenna?
So that wasn't the issues as much as it was the cowboy boots and the flannel shirt. So when we went on our first date, we both got pictures beforehand. I mean, let's just be honest. In the day and age with digital everything.
A day and age of digital 10 years ago, by the way. My God, neither one of us would survive today.
No. So I was like, I need to see, you know, Bobby texted me. She's like, you know, I got this guy you should meet. And he is, you know, a family guy. He's got a truck and a boat and a dog. And, you know, he's, you know, at that time he was a little thicker. He's been, doing these bike races, and I'm super proud of him. He's lost over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
In biking. But he's a little thicker and, but he's got a great personality. And I was like, that's the keyword. Let me see some pictures.
Red flag.
And I was like, thick is okay. I like potatoes. Thick is fine. You can't fix jerks. So she sent me like his name to look him up on social so I could do my research, right? I mean, who doesn't properly research somebody on social anymore? And so I tried finding him, but like his profile was so shut down. It's like a picture of a Chevy truck.
That's the worst. That's why you were single.
I'm like, this is both. It was like, send me like some material. So she sends me a picture. He's in a suit. He's got a goatee, didn't have his glasses on.
Bobby definitely picked out the best picture she could find of me. That picture that she got of me at Tux could not be the farthest from who I am as a person.
It was your catfish picture, wasn't it?
Oh,
I got catfish.
100%.
I did.
It was like, what did you always make the comparison of? It was like, what's the website where it's like you think you're getting one thing? Well, basically, we probably can't say that, but long story short, you were advertised one thing. It was basically a bait and switch, what we would call it in the car world. Like, come here and get this payment of this sweet high country. By the way, it's an LS work truck. We're sorry.
It's the wish of dating.
Yes.
Yeah. So he shows up. He was late. I told him to reach out to me at a certain, mile marker on the highway, because then I was going to purposely show up fashionably late. And he stopped at the outlet mall so he could buy some cologne and I think even a new watch. And
I got caught in the retail space a little bit.
Yeah. So he's shopping. I show up in this flowy, dress with a jean jacket. It's summertime. And he's nowhere to be seen. So I sit in the back booth of this restaurant. It's a corner booth, so I could see the door. And in walks in this guy with a flannel shirt, jeans, and cowboy boots.
And no facial hair.
And glasses. And he comes walking up to me. Hey, I'm Casey. You must be Jenna. I'm like, oh God, what am I getting myself? And he sits down, and I had already ordered my drink. So the waitress said, hey, do you want something to drink? And I was like, I know I'm not supposed to ask this, but are you even old enough? Because I just shaved for a new role, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, well.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I asked you, why does that matter? And you're,
no.
I'm just like, yeah, I'll take your objection and put it right back at you.
Listen, I am 3 years older than him, and he looked like he was 12 with no facial hair. I didn't want to come off like I was, cradle robbing.
That's too funny.
Anyway, come to find out, he was of age to have a beverage, and he's like, "Oh, did you like the facial hair?" I was like, "Yes, I did. Nice." And by the next week, on our next date, he did have that growing back in. So I was like, "Oh, he listened." Yeah,
I love it.
Love that.
I love it. And Bobby got to keep her life because you actually wound up falling in love with this guy and not setting her up with some creepo with no facial hair, right?
Yeah.
This is true.
The best part is on my side of it's a little quicker story, but basically Bobby looked at me and she goes, Casey, how are you still single? And I'm like, well, Bobby, it's really simple. I have a boat. I live by a lake and it's summer. Really don't need to be in a relationship right now. I kind of just keep my options open. She goes, well, I got a girl that you need to meet. And I'm like, all right, send me over some pictures first. Cause same situation, like, oh, she's got a great personality. And I was like, red flag, pictures, please. Thank you. And then all of a sudden, of course, she sends over a picture. I'm like, okay, all right. You got my attention. It just, had a lot going on. 10 days later, I picked up the phone and
thank God
I set the appointment.
No, so here's the deal. I'm texting her by about day 7, and I'm like, listen, I'm kind of cute, and I have a lot going.
Kind of cute.
And I'm like, where's your guy at? He has not reached out to me. It's been 7 days. And she's like, hold on. So she screenshots his text messages to me. And I'm like, cool, chicks before, anyhow. And so she's sending me this data so I know where he's at mentally. Come to find out, fast forward into our relationship, she was doing the same thing for him and screenshotting my text messages.
He had my back.
And I like, she's like, you two, we were on speakerphone. I don't even remember how this came up. We were living in Sheboygan at the time, and it came up in conversation. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? And she goes, well, you can't even be mad because now you guys are a thing.
Yeah.
She's not wrong.
Yeah, it came
That's
out.
so
It was like 2 or 3 years
It was
later.
2 or 3 years later.
It came out
That
in
is-
conversation. I was like, oh, Bobby,
That
you
is
never
so
told
funny.
that?
That's so Bobby Heron.
It is so Bobby Heron.
No, Bobby Heron. So
I love her.
And now you guys have been married for how many years?
We'll be 7.
No, you see how I looked? I was like,
That's smart. Well, we're in like an odd year. For our 5th year anniversary, we went down to Digital Dealer together. That was fun.
that was a good time. Got to meet a lot of the people that she knew from the digital space. That was
Yeah,
fun.
Vegas
that
or
was. Yeah. What's that?
Vegas or Tampa?
Tampa.
Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah. So we took 3 days since it was like a 5-year. That was a bit of a mile marker for a wedding anniversary. We took five full days, I think.
Yeah.
And went down to Digital Dealer. So it was our first conference together.
Fun.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. So tell us, Jenna, how did you get started in automotive?
Well, I was born into it. I'm 3rd generation automotive. My grandfather had a store for 17 years. My father was in the business for a very long time. And I just right in high school started calling customers just to see, does anything need attention? How many miles are on their car? They still have the same address. Back then, this is early 2000s. I even got an extra bonus, if I collected their email address. So I started doing that when I turned 18. I knew what I wanted to do and sell cars. So I jumped right into frontline retail. So I did frontline retail for many years. I ended up switching over to the internet and vendor side. I lived in Florida for 3 years, and we laugh because he actually lived in Florida. So I think I was moving
for a hot minute.
You were in Tampa. I was in Orlando. And so we didn't know each other then. And I moved down in 05 and came back in 08. And so when I was coming back, you were moving down.
Yeah, I went down and it was like 2011.
Yeah.
So-
So I worked for a Cadillac store down there, got into internet sales. And then when I came back to Michigan in 08, decided that I wanted to focus more on the digital retail space. I've worked for Cox Automotive as a digital success consultant for the Auto Trader and Kelly Book divisions. And then recently in the last 5 years, started my company, Revved Up Solutions, which we manage together. And that's basically helping sales professionals, service professionals, and BDC agents in the video messaging and communications. So do a little coaching.
I love that. I love that so much. And I know that you're not the first woman in automotive in your family, are you?
No. So technically my grandmother did support the entrepreneurship in my family. But I do have other family members that have been in the automotive space. So definitely from a long line of entrepreneurship, long line of sales. Even my aunt, who wasn't in automotive, she was the head executive for Fox, for the Fox Network, for our local station. So she was the general sales manager, general manager. And so just a big footprint, big shoes for me to fill from a wanting to be, driven and successful person in the automotive industry. So I grew up with it in my veins.
Well, and I think that's so important when you're a woman in a space like this and you have to, dedicate the time that you do and the effort that you do to have that supportive family that already knows that background and knows what it takes to be successful in this business, because they know how to push you forward the right way.
Yeah, I would definitely also give a lot of credit to Casey because, and I think he's even said the same thing out loud to me a few times where it's like he's had to stay late to work a deal. And it's like, well, I get it. Like, get it done. Like, close the deal.
Make that paper. Do what you got to do.
Yeah. So he doesn't hear any complaints from me when he has to stay late at the store or, something, duty calls. But just one of those things that I think that makes the dynamic work so well because we do understand each other's, plight in, the industry and the ebbs and flows of things.
That's so important, especially in a marriage, that you guys are able to relate to each other and understand when he has to work late for one reason or another, or when she's tied up with a client for one reason or another. Casey, how did you wind up in auto?
You know, as I was actually down in Florida, I had a brother that was actually working for a group up here in Michigan, and he kept telling me, Case, I think you'd be really good at this. I think you'd be really good at this. I was like, well, dude, you tell me I got an interview, I'll pack my stuff and I'm coming your way tomorrow. Like, and he's like, well, give me a couple days. Long story short, got the interview, show up at the dealer. They hired me pretty much right on the spot and got rocking and rolling. And that was back, like I said, that would have been in 2012, 2013. Wow. So you're kind of, Facebook has been around for a little bit. And then all of a sudden I went to some training and the guy was talking about building your own brand. And for some reason that really stuck with me. And then that's where it started out as Casey, the auto specialist. Later turned into Casey, the auto guy, as it says on the mug. I designed the logo, the whole nine. And it got to the point where, I was up at that store. I was probably an hour and a half, 2 hours away from my hometown. And then all of a sudden I was watching a guy who was a local at that store. All these people were coming in and asking for him because he grew up in the area. And I'm kind of at a moment where I was like, I think I need to get a little closer to home. And I did have some people that were coming up, to the area I was in. But then it was time to make a change. And I ended up moving pretty much right out my back door. And I came from a GM background, my mom and dad. So long story short, we ended up at a Chevy store, and the rest is pretty much history. I kept running with the branding and kind of obviously made a career out of it.
Casey, the auto guy here.
What's going on, everybody?
Casey, the auto guy here.
So
I love it. And I love it so much because on our pre-show call, you guys had mentioned that Jocelyn actually will mimic him whenever she starts doing her little videos, and that she does the same thing, and it's so cute.
My 5-year-old is I should say sorry. It's only her daughter when she does something bad. You know what I mean? You know how that goes.
I think it's the opposite there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now you ask her, she'd be like, no, that's all your daughter right there. You see that? That's you. We actually always joke when you try to teach the you out of your kid, and it's like, oh man, isn't that the truth?
We have two A-type personalities that bred, so I feel like we ended up with a double A. Is that possible?
100%.
You might be.
Yes, Jess has one.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
That's legit. It's a thing.
Yeah, Jocelyn's not afraid to be in the limelight, and we kind of joke like she's
or regular light.
Yeah, she doesn't really care. She actually just here the other day went when Jenna was at NADA, basically went in the store like, hey, we'll be here for a little bit. Well, ended up getting busy, and she was a champ about it, and nothing a little Paw Patrol can't fix, and kept entertained. And
I got a walk around video on a truck.
So that's what I was gonna say. After we were all said and done, I was like, honey, you did so good. She goes, I wanna do a video, and I'm like, all right. So literally recorded this video. It ended up being like 4 minutes long, but it was so funny because obviously driving Silverados, she knows
about trucks.
Right. She knew about the trucks. She ends up hopping in the back seat, flips open the back, shows you how much space, and she's like, you can lay down in the back and take a nap come up to you.
Oh, I love it.
It was absolutely adorable. And she's a natural. We'll see if she follows in the footsteps or whatever she chooses to do, but she's gonna be in the limelight for sure. There's no she likes it.
She limelight or regular light.
Right,
she likes both. She likes to stir a ruckus, and she's a good kid though. She's got the best heart.
I love that.
We're not just saying that. We have other people to tell us.
Yeah, that isn't just us playing favorites.
You guys need to start doing like every Wednesday, take her up to the store and have her do a walk around video for Walk Around Wednesday and just post it to Reels every Wednesday. How much fun? That would be such a fun segment for her.
It'd be so fun. I don't know if I can get her to play hooky that much out of kindergarten.
I guess school's a thing, huh?
Maybe after school, bring her up for dinner.
She's a riot though. She's an absolute riot.
Keeps us on our toes, man. Whew.
So both of you guys are type A. Both of you work in auto. How does the dynamic of your relationship work as seamlessly as it looks like it does anyways from the outside?
It is not seamless.
It takes a lot
so
of
all
work.
the social media stuff, it's all really just a big lie, right? It's all just a big facade.
Oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows. We never argue.
What?
It's it's just she gets it, I get it. We never argue. We're just one accord all the time. It's unicorns and rainbows, right?
Her face.
Yeah.
I thought she was frozen for a second.
Yeah, she's like,
Who are you talking about?
no, I would say it definitely. Obviously, like she even said herself, like we're in year 7 of our marriage, year 10 in our relationship. I mean, it comes with its trials and tribulations, man.
We've
moved a lot.
Changed
different paths in the automotive. Just trying to find your spot and find out what you really like to do, and you're growing as we were kind of talking off air there a little bit, where you're in your younger years, you're trying to figure out what you want to do and where you want to be and what's important to you, right? And then all of a sudden you bring in a second person into that equation, and then you got a yin and yang, and then you get this crazy idea thinking you want to add one more into the equation.
And dogs.
And
fish.
And
and
the
different
animals.
houses.
And
all that stuff. And
maple syrup. Let's just make maple syrup.
Hobbies.
We're just going to go out and tap a bunch of trees. I'm a city slicker. I don't know what that looks like.
Jenna,
You guys have actually done that?
Our first date was down in the city, and she's like, I made you come to me. And I'm like, oh, good for you, but where did you move? And she's like, shut up. I don't want to talk about that.
I have adapted to country life well. I own muck boots now.
Yep.
She's
done very, very well. But I will say that it definitely, from a yin and yang standpoint, being one accord, from a faith standpoint, we're both very strong in our faith. And, I'll be honest, I wasn't always that way. Like, it was definitely her guidance. You see how serious she just got here. She goes, I can't believe he went there. But, like, I will tell you, it seems like, and this is where I'll leave it. I've tried going against the grain, and it seems like any time that when you make it the center of your relationship, it tends to really ebb and flow. All the rest really kind of comes easier. So, and it does help when you got somebody that's in the business too. There's plenty of times you hear people talk, whether it's male or female, that their significant other doesn't always understand, this industry. And it's gotten a lot better than what it once was. Dealers are doing a very good job at adapting to a more modern world. But there's still times where that customer comes in right at close. We've all been there, and I'm me personally, because it's still on the retail front, very blessed that I got somebody here that totally understands. And sometimes you're coming home from work and it's like, hey, we're in jam snack time and we're waiting for you to read book.
We're going.
Yep.
It's
we're
bedtime.
It's
time to roll.
But yeah, it's just that would be the one thing that I would say. It's a constant. I don't want to say battle, but it's a constant work in progress. Yeah. And there's some days we got it figured out. And you're like, nothing can stop us. And then all of a sudden you have days where it's like, all right, Jesus, take the wheel. And all of a sudden you're like, no, not that one. And
not that wheel.
Not that wheel. We make that joke a lot. It's like, that is not what I meant, you know? But it's just kind of one of those things that are very blessed and it's clearly meant to be, right? You got it even when often when we are in a disagreement, we'll kind of look at each other and be like, look, I'm only doing this once. I'm not doing this again. That's my favorite line. I'm like, you're the chosen one. Like, I'm not doing this again. So, it's like, this is what it is. I made a promise. I made a commitment in front of our friends and family, and this. That was a big commitment. It's a huge commitment.
275 people that saw you do that.
Good time. Great wedding. It was actually
we
fun.
had wedding crashers. Actually, we had 25 extra people show.
It was a good time.
Oh, funny.
Oh, it was a good time. But
we had a hard time cutting down the guest list because we are in automotive and we knew so many people.
Yep.
We had moved to northern Michigan up by the Mackinac Bridge, so about 2.5 hours from where we're at now.
So I took the city girl, and she's like, "Ooh, exit 200," which is like kind of more around the West Branch area, which is kind of in the middle of the state. And then all of a sudden we went all the way up to 313 and she's like, what, Detroit? I'm like, no, wrong way. Like, we're going north.
north.
So-
Are we in Canada? I think we're in Canada. I'm
Pretty
not sure.
close. We were pretty close.
So we had our wedding outside of a barn. I
Mhm.
actually had cowgirl boots. So this is how country I've become.
Oh, I love it.
Yep, I had cowgirl boots. And
He adapted well.
yeah, we thought, oh, it's going to be a destination wedding for most of our friends, but Northern Michigan, just like Kid Rock things are out, summertime in Northern Michigan is destination, cities. So people ended up moseying out. We were putting picnic tables outside of the barn for people to eat, and it was
a good party.
It was
a very good blend of Jenna's people and my people, and like I come from a very small. I come from a very small town, so but
everybody came.
But yeah, we thought for sure having it up north that it would weed some people out. That was not the case.
Nope.
And we're very blessed that people, showed
everything.
up and did all that. It was. People still talk about that. It was a good time.
We had a bus show up after, for fourth meal. Did all Michigan made
we did food trucks
chips.
before
we did a food truck
before it was cool.
Whoa.
And so this hot dog truck shows up, and a Kogel's hot dog is a big deal in Michigan because it's all.
If it's not a Kogel, it's not even a hot dog.
Yeah, right. So that's what you have here. If you come to Michigan, you have to have Kogel's hot dog. And there's actually a competition between Flint and Detroit on a Coney style, and they have different sauces. So you must try.
Wow.
You gotta try both.
So we had a Coney truck show up, and people still talk about that.
Yeah, it was a good
the
time.
fourth meal. It's not even the main course. They were the fact that this truck showed up at 12 o'clock at night.
That is awesome. I love that story so much. That's great.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of time developing this, and from all the way back then until now, working together, knowing all of this stuff. My question is, and I don't know if Jess has another one, but I wanted to insert while I'm not coughing. What is a message that you guys would share to other couples in this business? Whether oh, that's funny. Whether it's both of them in the dealership, both of them on the vendor side, one on each. What would you say has industry related pushed you guys through?
I would say it's all about intentionality, whether you're in automotive or not, being intentional with your relationship. So it's taking those couple of minutes throughout the day to let that other person know that you're thinking of them. We have a tendency of our side love language is reels and memes. So we'll he thinks he one-ups me on this, and I don't know, I'm pretty good. We'll be bantering, and then all of a sudden it becomes this GIF or meme war in our so it's really our pastor at the time when we were married even said, a marriage is a well-fitting glove. And so as Casey mentioned, God being your thumbs, it would be really hard to grab onto something if you didn't have, thumbs, and then friends and family and fidelity, and then the last one being fun. So we call the pinky finger fun finger.
The fun finger.
Yeah. So our whole honeymoon, we were walking around, we were
how many people you think kept a straight face when the pastor said that? Not very many. Let me tell you.
Oh, we love Pastor Steve. He's so great. So that is the big factor. I think it's the X factor is faith first for both of us. That was kind of a non-negotiable, even for me. And then it comes down to the intentionality. I think that's the most important thing. And we even have to set boundaries if you're in the business, right? If you're in business together, whether it's automotive or something else, sometimes we have to say, okay, we're not going to talk about work.
I believe that happened on Friday.
It did. I wrote it down. I don't want to talk about effing work.
I don't care what you want to talk about. Talk about anything.
Yeah.
But
literally it happened 24 hours, I think, before we talked.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to lie, that was a hard conversation because us guys, right? And sometimes we come off very, especially myself, I come off very brash and blunt.
This is recorded, right?
Yeah. And this is,
you have all the proof.
I'll circle back around on this because I came out and was like, hey, time out. I need a break. I don't want to talk. And it's pretty hard when you're the auto couple, that's our lives. Literally, we'll go out to dinner. We got people coming up to us. And once again, very blessed that I got somebody that understands hey, Casey, what's the good lease deal right now? And then all of a sudden you're putting the auto guy hat on. You're being the brand 24/7.
You're at dinner, but
and
it's
you're at dinner with the
because
fam.
That's That's what our life is.
It's absolutely awesome that she totally understands that. And sometimes she's got to remind me like, hey, that's how, because there's sometimes you're out and about and you're like, man, I really don't want to deal with this right now. But
we go to dinner outside of town for those nights.
Yep,
like
100%.
we've communicated that. Like,
and sometimes, we get a little dose of humble pie and we still run into somebody that we know. So,
I can't take this guy anywhere. He's been on billboards.
What I will say, and this is, and I'll give this to the guys out there. One thing that I will tell you, the one little small piece that makes a world of difference, and I noticed a difference in her when I do it, because sometimes I get caught up. All right, take the husband hat off, dad hat off. Now, all right, it's time to be in the car space. Is even just that simple message. Like, I'll never forget, like, I just shot her, this was last week. I actually shot her a text and was just like, hey, how's your day going? Or I think I called you. That's what it was. I called you. You called me. And I'm one that, hey, when I'm at work, sometimes it gets busy, whatever. It just kind of.
You might go the whole day and not talk.
And I will tell you just that simple phone call. And it was a 5-minute conversation, not even. And she actually sent me a text afterwards and was like, hey, thank you so much for reaching out and seeing how my day was going. And it's like, to me, that wasn't my intention. It was generally like, I was curious to see how she was doing, but to her, it meant so much.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes us as guys, just because it's not important to us, we don't care, doesn't mean that it isn't important to her. And it's just that for me was kind of a little bit of an eye opener. Even, 10 years in, there's still times where it's not a destination, it's a journey. I've been saying that a lot lately. And everybody thinks, so once we get to this point, then everything's going to be great. No, you're going to be faced with other challenges and complications. Sure. It's just the challenges change. Yeah. But always making sure that you realize at the end of the day, it's a team and isn't an individual thing. It's a teamwork. And I always make the joke that our address is our number one priority. I always state my address to her and say that's my number one priority. Anything outside of that's all secondhand. And sometimes just that simple little text message or that simple phone call makes the world of difference.
Sure.
So sorry, there's my soapbox moment.
No, I love it. I love it so much. I know we're running short on time, but I do have one more question, because I love that you both were in retail for so long. And then Casey, I know you're still in retail, but then Jenna, you transitioned out of retail into your own lane with Revved Up Solutions. What kind of obstacles did you face whenever you branched out?
Well, so I started my business in the fall of 2019.
I was going to say it rhymes with COVID.
We know how that is. That's when we started the
that
business here.
A really interesting time to get started.
Woo!
I will say I've been so blessed that there have been clients that I've had across the country that I've only done virtual with them, trainings and coaching and helping them increase their conversions. So I've been very blessed because I've had a large footprint myself in the automotive space and created those relationships. And I was able to lean on those relationships to build up a clientele base of people that, were looking for help. I would say other challenges, really is just scaling your business as you're growing. That 3 to 5 mark is where a lot of entrepreneurs will you're going to sink or swim. And so we've definitely had some moments where it's like, okay, are we sure?
Yeah, there's definitely been times where, and this is where it helps the yin and the yang, right? There's times where she's, I don't know. And it's like, hey, you got a decision to make. Either this is what we're doing, or
I have a cheerleader and a coach, and sometimes you want to punch them both.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to like making sure you can laugh at things too. Like you got to be able to interject.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying earlier, the understand where the intent's coming from. Like there's sometimes in that moment, yes, she gets mad at me and just being real, storms out like,
bye.
I don't want
to hear it.
And then all of a sudden, 15, 20 minutes will go by and she'll be like, hey, so I understand where you were coming from here, and thank you.
Good.
But your delivery, on the other hand,
sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will say that, obviously the balance, the ebb and flow, he'll tell you balance is BS and it's just a way to sell books. I believe that balance is one of those things where it's kind of like you're cooking a meal on your stove. Let's say you're sauteing some stir fry. So your rice at one point has to be boiling and you have to get it to a certain point. And so the rice is priority, and then you back burner your rice so you can pull your veggies and your meats forward. And then you're sauteing that and your sauce and all of that. So at every point in your life, you're constantly moving things forward and backward to see what needs the priority and the attention right now. Is it our marriage? Is it our daughter? Is it our work? What needs, what's the top 3 things that I have to get done this week to move the needle? And so I even bring this up in like my coaching styles. We have vision boards, and I think that's all stuff that keeps us grounded. I try to work in 90-day increments. Like, did I move the needle or did I accomplish a goal myself? So it helps in the ebbs and flows when you have those peaks and valleys, but owning your own business is a lot of work, because you're the accountant, you're the salesperson, you're the person producing the work, you're the marketer. There's a lot of different hats that you have to wear.
It never gets shut off.
And you never turn it off. So even if I'm sitting on the couch, to actually like be plugged in and be intentional and in the moment with him, like watching a show or a movie, I'm thinking about 15 other things in the back of my brain.
We're both guilty.
And you do that too, but
Yeah.
we both will call each other out on it. And I think that helps. Like, okay, put the phones in the other room, or
because we do this, and that's
We'll do
that's
things
hard
on
to do
social.
sometimes, because we are very much a social. That's kind
Couple.
of what we do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what our brand is, and
if you go to our Auto Couple page, you will definitely get some humor.
we
out of
always
our
have fun. Make sure you
marriage
go and follow
banter.
that, because whoever we actually have a little
There's
internal
competition that happens. here.
Whose posts get better traction?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, we
Now
have-
you let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah,
Now
100%.
everybody's gonna have. He actually went online.
It's pretty obvious
And he
though.
was like,
who shares what?
Who met who first, or who have you known the longest? He was like tracking for higher metrics on this poll or whatever. And then I pulled out some videos, and
Yeah,
all of a
she started
sudden my
posting
metrics
videos.
go up.
And then I was like,
And
"Get
then
on,
he's
girl.
like-
This is how you want to play."
And then he just blew it out of the water.
I
Well,
love that.
in her defense, the page originally started out as Casey the auto guy, and then obviously when we got together, it was kind of like everybody's like, "Oh my god, you guys are kind of like the auto couple."
That's
Hashtag.
awesome.
All right, and I'm like, you know
We
what?
ran with it.
I'm like, I think we're gonna run with this,
Yeah.
and it literally, like I said, I'm from a pretty small town, so when you walk into the local, we
And they're
call
like,
our
"Auto Couple's
tiers.
here."
It's where everybody knows everybody. You walk in, they're like, "Hey, what's going on, everybody? Casey Auto Guy here. Hashtag Auto Couple." It's just kind of it works for us, and it's with our personalities and stuff. It really does work. But I will tell you, going back to what we were talking about, sometimes putting the phones down and really being intentional, and then also, it's kind of funny. You talk like she was saying, you never turn it off. Well, like when she came back from NEDA, I think everybody had a little bit of the crud coming back. It seems like there was a lot of people in our space that you could tell they all just got done being in the same spot. Everybody seems like they got sick, and all of a sudden, like day 2 of her hacking, because the first night of her being home, I didn't sleep with a darn.
Neither one of us did.
None of us did.
And he was dealing with it.
And so finally, all of a sudden, 8 o'clock came around, and I have the dose of NyQuil. She's like, "But that's gonna 8 o'clock already," and I'm like,
You're going
"Yes,
to bed.
you're gonna drink it, and then in an hour, you're gonna fall asleep.
Are
I
you
promise."
roofing me?
And it literally, like, I was like, "If you're not gonna take care of yourself, I'll take care of you." And it's just like, "Fine, I hear you, Smith." Like,
Smith. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I think that Shasta and I are going to have to take over that social media engagement competition that you have going on and see whose posts can get more traction. I love that. Yeah.
it's good times for sure.
I love that. All right. So where can people reach you guys? Will you guys be at any other conferences coming up anytime soon? If they have questions for you, where's the best place to reach out to you?
I was going to say, we're definitely due to go to another conference. I know I want my next one. She talks so much about Vegas. She's been to Vegas now twice without me, which I don't know if that's
multiple times.
No,
I don't
not
know
with-
if that's
have you not been?
I've never
He's
been
never
to
been to
Vegas.
Vegas.
Never.
You
I'm
went-
a country boy
what are you
through and through.
Wait,
I'm
wait,
a country
okay,
boy
hold
through
on.
and through.
Hold on.
We should
Hold on.
probably make it a point to go.
Guys, I'm here to
together.
tell you right now. Like, I literally,
If he goes 50 miles outside of his radius.
yeah,
Unless it's for a bike race. 'Cause he has a bike race this weekend.
So-
But we're going further into the country.
going north,
Going all the way to the Upper Peninsula.
going north.
To God's country.
Oh,
And
that'd
that's
be
okay.
Good
But
times.
if he has
So-
to travel like to Detroit to go down to my sister's, he grumbles about
Yeah,
traffic
it's
and
game over.
everything the whole way down. Then he gets there, has a great time, and then tells me he has a great time on the way home. And it's like, I told you.
So we've had the
Yes.
conversation about taking our husbands
We have.
to NIADA, which is in Vegas. My husband was so jealous of me this past week because he didn't get to go to Vegas, and I was like, "Oh, I saw the Sphere. I was there the week of the Super Bowl, blah blah." And so I think that we actually have talked about bringing them with us in June for NIADA. So that may be a good one for you guys to go to.
That would
Yeah,
be-
that's, June is a big month for us.
Yeah, wedding
usually.
anniversary, Jocelyn's birthday. I also
Oh.
am with the Full Tank Automotive Camp at Northwood University. So we have a week-long camp for high schoolers. They come to campus and stay.
June, guess what? We schedule in June.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing because it's booked.
I will say I am in planning mode right now for Women in Auto, working on getting some college students to come out to Colorado Springs. I believe I'll be attending as well. That's just all in the pre-planning stages right now. One of the team will go from the Northwood clan because I do have some work that I do with them.
Okay.
To promote the camp. So it's still in the works on that one. For Colorado Springs, we have Digital Dealer that's usually in October in Vegas. So
we'll see, but
October is the better month because the in-laws are back from being snowbirds. So.
Yeah.
Or they're
Yeah,
getting ready to
that
leave.
helps. That
That
usually helps
yeah.
a little bit. But I'd say to get a hold of us, I would say if you enjoy some good old bantering with it's bantering but also informative. We like to have fun on our Facebook page. It's Casey Auto Guy, Jenna the Auto Gal.
LinkedIn.
And then we're on LinkedIn. We're both on LinkedIn. Instagram. And then obviously from a company perspective, Revved Up Solutions.
Mhm.
I mean, those are the kind of the two big spots that usually you'll get one of us.
You'll find us. We'll find you.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you two taking the time out of your day to come on the show with us today. And we are super excited to get this going. It'll be up on all of the platforms on Wednesday, February 14th for our Valentine's Day special. So without further ado, in a world where you can be anything, be kind, because you never know what others are facing, what battles others are facing. So while out in the world this week, remember to light it up. I'm Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And this is the Auto Couple, and we are the chicks in charge. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys.